What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. And here with my co-host, my guy, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spreader Style? Welcome back.
We are back. I'm ready. We got some NFL to break down, and we had a lot of fun doing college basketball in the NBA. But I think this show works best. Handicapping football it gives the people more time to watch it, and I think it's the most fun sport to bet. So I cannot wait to talk some football with you today.
Man, we're gonna be back now every Monday and Friday, guys. That's the new schedule. That way, those are great days because on Mondays we can do a little reviews and also some look aheads for the coming week. And on Fridays, of course, we're going to be giving out our locks for the weekend. Got to stay hot. It's no past, present, and future today. It's no yesterday's news today. The only thing that I could talk about in the past was a great season that Spread and I had. As you guys know, we only lost one weekend, 1 week out of 24. So we were 23-1 on winning weeks. That's pretty good on free plays, don't you think, Spread?
It's fantastic. If you'd have told me before we started, I would have said, we're not going to be able to do that. But hey, we pulled it off. So hopefully the good fortune will continue.
Yes, and as Spread said, we're transitioning to our favorite time of the year, betting some football. So we're gonna get a chance to actually do a lot of reviews and previews for you guys coming up. We got about 5 to 6 shows before we get into week zero of the college football season, and about 8 to 9 before we get into the first regular season game, which is going to be September 8th, a big one between the Los Angeles Rams and the Buffalo Bills. LA will be throwing up a couple banners and stuff for the Super Bowl and everything. And we'll have the number one team as far as Vegas is concerned to get and win the championship, to get to the Super Bowl and win the championship, this year, in the Buffalo Bills, led by my guy Josh Allen. So I'm really looking forward to that opener. But until then, what we're going to do is we're going to break down some of these college football conferences, the Power Five at least, and also we're going to get in and around the NFL. We're going to start with the West side. They say it's the best side, but I'll probably take the SEC. We'll talk a little Pac-12 talk. Let the people know what we're going to be thinking about the Pac-12 today. Spread. Got a USC is the talk of the actual conference with Lincoln Riley coming over there. Uh, Out of all the teams that are in the West, they're the ones with the biggest chance. The Pac 12, or back then the Pac 8 when it originally started, uh, it hasn't threatened recently with only Oregon. I mean, Oregon has made two playoff appearances, losing twice in the championship. But in the new playoff format, the only team we've seen from the Pac-12 actually get there has been the 2016 Washington team. And they were dismantled so badly by Alabama that it pretty much showed us how far behind that the Pac-12 was compared to the top teams in the Big Ten and the SEC. They haven't had a dominant team really on the West Coast. Spread, I say, probably since Reggie Bush, Pete Carroll days, right?
2004. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
early 2000s, one of the most memorable teams in recent college football history. You got two Heisman Trophy winners. How many teams have been able to say that? You had Bush and Matt Leinart. The 2022 version of this USC team, led by new coach Lincoln Riley and his prize transfer, Caleb Williams, uh, they seek to bring back some of that tradition to USC. They're the best team money can buy in this new world that we live in college football. They kind of followed their crosstown pro team, the Rams, and went and got a bunch of superstars, man. They went and got the Bolitnikoff winner, Jordan Addison. He set every type of record at Pittsburgh last season. They got Travis Dye. He was at Oregon. He was their top back. He's electric. They also got the speech to Mario Williams that followed um, Coach Riley over from Norman to the busy streets of South Central Los Angeles, man. I expect the O line to improve for USC as well because you got Lincoln Riley, and that's his specialty is offense. Everyone knows he can coach that side of the ball. He's averaged 43 points as a coach in the last 5 seasons as being the head guy at OU. And what people don't understand is that he brings a toughness to his offensive line. So I expect his offensive line to play really well. But in the same sense that I do like this USC team offensively, I mean, Caleb Williams will be in the second season in this offense. Uh, Addison is a veteran. Him and Caleb should put up some really big numbers together. Travis Dye, as I said, is explosive. And as you know, USC already had more running backs. They're still, to this day, one of the running back U's. They used to be the running back U. Now they're still one of the places that produce a lot of good running backs from that area. So I'm not worried about the offensive side. But in the same sense, Lincoln Riley does have a reputation for not being too good on defense. He brings in Alex Grinch, who was Ohio State's defensive coordinator, and he brings them to SC with him. They're going to have so much turnover. He picked up 10 guys in the transfer portal to play defense. They only had 3 returning starters, and they were horrible on defense the last 2 seasons. Maybe the worst defensive team in the Pac-12 were the Trojans. And now they have so much changeover, new system, new scheme, new coach. It's going to be hard getting communication. So I'll be looking to bet a lot of overs on this USC team this year because I think the offense is going to be phenomenal. But I don't think the defense will be a juggernaut. Um, their schedule's pretty light. They might get a scare from Fresno State because Jake Hayner is a good quarterback over there at Fresno State, but they do have a new coach this season, and the game is also in the Coliseum early in the season. So I think SC will prevail. But also they have to play Utah in Utah. And when they play them, I expect USC to be 6-0, but I don't expect them to get out of Salt Lake City with a win. Tough place to go play in Utah, especially in late fall. And, as I said, I don't think that the defense for USC is going to be too strong. So I think that the schemes Whittingham will be able to put together with a veteran defense is going to give Caleb Williams his one hiccup of the season. But besides that, I'm definitely feeling they're over 9.5 for USC to win over 9.5 games. Minus 135 for the over on that. So the books are telling you that they think that they will win at least 10 games, have a double-digit season. I just feel like it's going to be really tough. It's a perfect storm for Lincoln Riley. Down season in the conference, and then he's coming with this brand new offense that none of these coaches have seen. I mean, he's going to have an advantage mostly every week across the field because the only headlining coach that has as much experience on their resume and has done as much as he has on his resume as far as in winning and getting into national championship games is Chip Kelly. So I think that most weekends Lincoln Riley have a huge advantage on the field, not only with his team, but also with the headsets. And it's going to be a lot for the Pac-12 to adapt to that. If he was coming in with a new quarterback, then I wouldn't think as much. But him and Caleb Williams have already played a whole season together at Oklahoma. And I think that's going to give them a huge advantage with all the talent and speed that they have. What do you think about USC this coming year spread?
The big question is how fast they'll implement his system. And there was rumors around here that he wasn't necessarily too happy with that move to the Big Ten. He wanted to come in and just win the Pac-12 year after year and use that as his stepping stone to put this team, in the Final Four in the NCAA playoffs. He's not going to be able to do that now, so he's got a short window to do that. And it really just comes down to, can he get everybody on the same page right off the bat? And you mentioned the good thing is he will have a little while before he faces a tough test. That tough test is Utah that you mentioned. And I'm looking here at the odds to win the Pac-12. I'm on Bet Online, plus 190 for USC, plus 230 for Utah, right? So the odds makers think that this Utah team is really close. Utah had a pretty good season last year, and they kind of fell short at the end. What do you expect from Utah this year? And which one would you prefer there? The plus 190 for USC or the plus 230 for Utah?
It's crazy because I just looked at those odds on Caesars, William Hill last night, and on Caesars they're plus 210 for both sides, but they have Utah at only 9 wins, and they have SC at 9.5. So clearly,
Also, you have to remember, because Bet Online's an offshore book,
mm-hmm.
and the only two states, really the biggest states that aren't legalized, are California and Texas. So you got to think there's a bigger influx of California bettors
right.
on that site, and I don't think there's that many bettors in Utah.
No,
right?
but you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
Hey, the Mormons are deep in Vegas, man. Don't they
Oh, are
own a
they?
lot of
Okay.
property here? Salt Lake, those Utah guys, if you go on that book on the weekends, BYU is representing. They're
Okay.
in there, they're not just cheering.
Okay.
They're not just cheering. They're spending a little money. I honestly do like Utah, but Utah has they like to lose games that they're not supposed to on the road. They're very strong at home. Um, but for some reason they tend to stumble. I think they could stumble potentially at Arizona State. Arizona State has a lot of turnover this year, but they do have the transfer quarterback from Florida, uh, Emory Jones now, and he didn't look too good with Florida, but he can play. He wasn't a top 5 quarterback coming out of high school for anything. He has all the tools, all the speed. It's funny, it kind of reminds me of Jaden Daniels that just left there. It's kind of like he's there, but it's not all the way there yet. You see the glimpses, but Arizona State only has 4 home games this year. Your old alma mater, Arizona State, they're still talking about those spread at Arizona State. Yeah, they only have 4 home games this season in Tempe. I think they're going to be pretty wired up for those 4 home games that they have in conference this year. In Arizona State will be hosting Utah September 24th. They also have a Thursday night game at Washington State. With Washington State has a transfer quarterback, Cameron Ward, that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, from Incarnate Word. A lot of people don't know a lot about this kid, but he can ball out. And catching them on a late October, Halloween time on a Thursday, you know how jinky those games get. So I think that Utah might stumble there. But I definitely see them having issues at Oregon. I just feel like USC's schedule is lighter and more workable. So I definitely would lean USC winning that conference. I don't see them. I see them only losing to Utah, which means that Utah would have to lose only 1 game on their schedule in order to get in to the championship game and win the South. I don't see them being that perfect. I think that they slip 2 games at least, but I don't see SC losing but that 1 game in conference at Utah. They have a very easy schedule.
Talk to me about Oregon plus 250. Obviously, one of the biggest moves of the offseason. Mario Cristobal heading to Miami. Miami's pretty happy. People people out here, right, are saying the guy's just a recruiter, right? I mean,
Yeah.
in game, they weren't doing a lot. They weren't doing a lot of stuff, right? And I guess the idea is you get the right coordinators, you can get away with just being a recruiter. But obviously, they're going to miss him on the recruiting edge. But people want to go to Oregon, right? The Nike, the different uniforms. I mean, like, you go up there, you're fitted on the first day, right? I mean, you get to go to the Nike mall, the outlets, right, and just pick out whatever you want. You're decked in Nike the whole time. Kids like going to Oregon. The recruiting should still be there. How do you see this team with the new coach? I see them at plus 250 to win the Pac-10 on Bet Online, so not too far behind Utah with the offshore odds makers.
Is it the Pac-10, Pac-12, or
Pac-12.
Pac-8?
I'm sorry, Pac-12. Pac-12. Pac-10 is when I grew up. Pac-8
It
was
was
when my parents.
Pac-8. It was
Yeah. Pac-8
okay.
is my
I want
parents.
to make sure
Pac-10
that
was
we
when
were on
I
the
grew up.
same page. Okay,
Pac-12.
so
Yeah, my bad.
Pac-12. Okay,
Excuse me.
because we don't know what they're about to become. They're about to
They're
become
about to be the Pac-4.
the Big
the
20
Pac.
or
You
something,
mean
right?
Pac-Man? just
Right,
one.
right,
Just
right.
one.
2-pack. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. 2 of them.
Okay, so getting to Oregon, man. Oregon, the cupboard is full. Cristobal, as you said, one of the best recruiters in the country, left the cupboard full for Dan Lanning, who's coming in, former defensive coordinator for Georgia. I don't know what's his scheme. I don't know what he run. I would think he's going to be physical. I would think that which Cristobal had already started kind of implementing with Oregon. I think they're going to be more of a SEC style Pac-12 team now, a lot more running. But the problem is the trigger man. I don't like Bo Nix at all. I'm not a fan of his. He's a backyard football player. He's one of those guys that likes to run around and chunk it. He's very good on second reaction plays when plays break down and, receivers are able to make double moves and he can get the ball up top to him just on, some backyard boogie type of football. Running plays, he's not accurate. He's very, very inaccurate. Sells a lot of passes. Horrible mechanics. Doesn't get his feet set. He's lived off his father's name in Auburn. They gave him chance after chance, and with the type of connection his father had with being a star quarterback at that school, and him not being able to stick and having to transfer, kind of shows you that he was definitely missing some things because they gave him every possibility. You ask most people, he's the reason why why my guy isn't the coach at Auburn anymore. He slipped my mind real quick. He had them rolling over there. Got him to the national championship. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Came from Arkansas. But anyway, he put a lot of trust in Bo Nix being that guy, and he wasn't. And they're giving the reins to him at Oregon as the signal caller. And I just don't trust Bo Nix enough. And I think the books agree with me because they have their wins at 9. But the unders minus 130, the overs plus 110. So they're saying they're going to win about 8 games. Looking at their schedule, I can see that. They're in a very weak conference. The Pac-12 North is horrible. They will get pushed, though, from Washington. Watch Washington. Transfer quarterback, former Indiana star Michael Penix is over there, and he can really play. 2019, when Indiana really threatened to win the Big Ten, he was the quarterback, and his offensive coordinator, which is Kalen DeBoer, excellent coach. He coached Fresno State the last couple seasons, did a wonderful job, very organized, very smart guy. He was also the OC in Indiana. Those two link back up and go to Washington. Washington always has had great recruiting when it came to skill positions and defense. They're tough up in Seattle. They got a brand of football they've always played. If DeBoer can come in and implement a system quick enough, with him having a good trigger man and Michael Penix, I could see Washington definitely pushing Oregon for the Pac-12 North, and the books agree with me because they have them at 7.5 wins. The overs minus 120, the unders at even money. So if Penix can stay healthy, and with the way I know DeBoer coaches offense, and also just as a sound coach overall, I really like Washington to threaten them. Another sleeper in the Pac-12 North would be Oregon State. I love their coach, Jonathan Smith. He was a former star quarterback there when Oregon State had that one season where they made a New Year's Six Bowl. He's a real good coach, man, and he coaches a tough brand of football. Their quarterback is coming back. They also got 15 starters back on the team. So I expect Oregon State to make some noise again. They played better as the season went on. Very impressive team. I love them at over 6. It's at minus 130 right now. I think they can get over 6 wins. The under's only plus 110. Another sleeper team that I like people to check out on, maybe not winning as many games, but covering some games, is Arizona. They got 8 starters back on offense. 4 of them are offensive linemen. They got out the
8
transfer
starters from a
portal.
1-win team, though, right?
Yeah, they have a good coach, though. Jed Fish has been around the NFL.
Well, they had a top-ranked recruiting class.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Having a 1-win team and then your top 10 recruiting class.
Jed Fish is
give
the
him
guy,
credit.
man. He is. If a parent sits down with him, they're going to be very impressed because he can speak NFL talk. And what does every parent, especially in these days, want their kids to do? They're in it to play professionally. There's not anymore where they're just, oh, I hope Tommy gets his degree. That's all. It's not. Those days are long gone by. The innocence is long past by. It's a money thing. Everybody wants to earn money, man. And in these times, in this economy, we need it. So I don't knock any of them for that approach. And he can really sell himself because he coached quarterbacks for Bill Belichick in New England, and then after that, he was the play caller for Sean McVay at the Rams. That's a pretty impressive resume to bring to college.
Exactly. Yeah.
I really liked how his team played last season. As the season went on, they covered a lot of games against some really hard competition. Man, they're only at 2.5 games, but the book knows because the juice is minus 155. Their schedule is pretty tough. They actually have the 24th toughest schedule. He scheduled a lot of tough out of conference games because Fish is trying to build something in Arizona where he has a tough-minded team that plays big games, and I don't knock him. He went and got a good quarterback. Jaden Delora used to be the Washington State quarterback last year. He's very efficient. He was one of my guys that I really enjoyed betting. In 11 games last season, he passed a 64% completion percentage. He had 23 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. He's athletic enough to get out the pocket and make some plays. Kind of small, but a very good passer, man. Very accurate with the ball. Puts the ball on receivers where they can make plays and open the field. So keep an eye on Arizona, and I really love their over 2.5 at minus 155. In fact, that's a bet of mine that I'm actually putting in over 2.5 games for Arizona to win at over 155. And I also will most likely be playing Oregon under 9 wins.
Last team I got to talk to you about here before we switch over to the AFC East. You mentioned them real briefly. They're at plus 1,200 to win the conference here at Bet Online. Chip Kelly and the UCLA Bruins. Talk to me about this team. Chip Kelly's the guy that, is the hottest guy in the NFL for a year, got ran out of the NFL. Looked like he was going to get run out of UCLA too. Had a pretty good season last year, right? People are starting to believe again here. What do you think of Chip Kelly and the UCLA Bruins?
Bet all of their games over. When they play their over team, like most college teams, and especially with the pace that Chip Kelly likes to coach. The thing that really got him ran out the NFL was he put so much pressure on his defense from the pace that he likes to play at. They have a great running back coming back, and Charbonnet, the Michigan transfer that came there last year and ran all over everybody. Him and DTR have been over there together forever. The kid that's right here from Vegas, good quarterback, very serviceable, athletic. Now he's starting to become more of a pocket guy since he's been there with Chip. He really works well from the pocket. Chip has some great tight ends, great weapons outside. Just always boils down to the same thing with most of these guys in 2022, and that's what is your defense going to do? That's the difference that Nick Saban brings. That's the difference that Kirby Smart brings. That's why the SEC beats these teams when it matters in these big games. Because if you look at all of these coaches that are great, like Ryan Day, like Chip Kelly, like Lincoln Riley, they struggle to stop people defensively. And it has to go hand in hand something with their offense and the way that they played with them playing at a fast pace and scoring so fast. There's nothing wrong with putting up points, but Nick Saban has mastered being a complimentary coach. He knows how to make all three phases work together beautifully. Kirby Smart was under him. That was his prime pupil, his top assistant forever. And he's been able to be one of the few guys that came from under him and beat him using his style. He took from the master and beat the master last year. We know that some injuries helped him, but my point is Chip has to think about defense. He has to figure out a way to get that defense to someone who can at least slow people down like he did at Oregon when they were able to get to the national championship game and lost to Auburn. Their defense was more than serviceable back then. And if he can get people, he'll hold teams to under 24, 25, they'll be in a lot of games because their offense is a really good team, really good side of the ball. Turn the ball over a little bit too much. But UCLA, I just like to bet their games over. The overs on them, man, because you never know what you're going to get, but you will most likely get a good offensive showing. I don't think that they beat SC this season, but the game would be like 50-40 or something. So bet the over on that one for sure.
All right. Anything more on the Pac-12 before we move to the pros?
Cameron Ward. You guys remember the name? People familiar with me in my old Twitter account before the powers that be shut it down. I had an old Twitter account that Spread used to follow me on as well. And on that Twitter account back in 2016, I was really high on Josh Allen because we bet. And if you bet sports, you look at sports a little bit different than most people. I'm up at 10 p.m. at night when you're in bed, you know, thinking about I'm going to have to pay some bills, have to pay some mortgages and stuff like that. So I'm watching very intently what's going on and what my money's involved with. And Josh Allen stuck out to me as a guy who had all the tools and skills. And I couldn't tweet enough about how impressive this guy was and how the scouts need to go look at this guy in Wyoming. I feel the same way about this kid, Cameron Ward. He was at a small school, Incarnate Word, and I caught wind of him a couple years ago when COVID occurred. It got me more into betting FCS football and FBS football. FCS, well, I started betting the small schools simply because at the time they were playing spring ball due to COVID, and it was the only thing to bet. And I ended up getting into a lot of those programs and understanding a lot about their coaches and their players. Cameron Ward stuck out back then. Uh, Imagine Malik Willis type of athleticism and strength, you know, body type, but a much better decision maker. Doesn't turn the ball over a lot. Very accurate with his passing. Has an unbelievable arm. A lot of zip. Can put air on the ball. He's an unbelievable player, and he gets a chance to showcase his talents um, with some major talent now. With him going to Washington State, he actually taking over for Jaden DeLora. He was going to start because his OC from Incarnate Word ended up getting hired at Washington State. You got Ward to follow him there. Expect big things out of Cameron Ward. By the end of the season, everybody's going to be talking about Cameron Ward uh, being a draft pick. He's that good. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, you mentioned Josh Allen. That's the perfect segue here because we want to preview the AFC East today. And the Buffalo Bills
Yeah.
are not only favored to win the AFC East, they're favored to win the Super Bowl. Plus 550
Yeah.
at Bet Online. That's the that's the highest favorite that they have. Let's start with the Bills. You know, I wanted to when I was originally doing this, I kind of wanted to poke holes in this team, poke holes in this idea, right? You know, the chalky team, the team that everyone likes. But I got to say, I think that this love and these numbers are warranted because I don't think that there's any reason to believe that this team's going to be any worse than they were last year. And last year, you know, they almost beat the Chiefs. They probably, you know, could have beat the Bengals, maybe a little different there in the Super Bowl. And obviously the NFL thinks so, putting them on the opening night of the year. And they got a kid named Cook that maybe will help that running game out, right? And you know a little more about him than I do, right? But that just seemed to be the one thing they were missing was a reliable running back. I thought that Zach Moss would be that guy. Turns out he's not. I don't think he will. Maybe he's starting to come on towards the end of the year. But I think this Cook's got even more potential here. You know, and that's what this team needs. The defense is excellent. Really, you know, they didn't lose a lot here. Any reason to doubt the Buffalo Bills should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl?
Not at all. And back when I was talking about Auburn, Coach Malzahn, I'm sorry about that, man. Gus Malzahn, that's what I was speaking
Oh,
about.
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I was trying to
sorry.
think of the name too, and I couldn't think
Yeah,
of it.
Gus Malzahn.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, the Bills are definitely warranted. That I looked at their schedule. I see 11 minimum wins, 12 unless you know a major uh, injury occurs, like Josh Allen goes down or something. Besides that, I don't see anyone stopping the Bills from having a great season and dominating the AFC East. Uh, they're finding themselves. Josh Allen is finding himself in the same situation like the great Jim Kelly did when he was had his run with Buffalo, where they're playing really. Uh, they got two teams that are really rebuilding because New England doesn't want to admit they're in a rebuild, but you can tell by the moves that they're making they're in a rebuild. I think that they don't believe too much in Mac Jones as they're selling everyone their year away. They're still living off their old couple years away. They're still living off their old name. The Jets are in a perpetual rebuild. Miami, I gotta respect the moves that Miami is trying to make. We'll see this year if Tua is the real deal, if he can look anything like he looked at Alabama. But the Bills are impressive, man. I already made that bet. I bet them the first game of the season to beat the Rams. I called them when they were still +1. Now I think they're favored to win the game. Um, I really think that that's a showcase game for them, and they're going to go out and show the world why they should be favored in Vegas this year. Um, they lost a heartbreaker to Kansas City, and I think it was one of those type of games that they felt kind of like when Kansas City was outlasted by New England the previous year. Like that they didn't lose, they just didn't get the ball again.
Right.
And with that type of motivation, it carries over to the next season, man. I see a lot of confidence in Josh Allen. Everything slowed down. He already knows. There's nothing more dangerous than a quarterback that knows he's a beast, and he knows he's a beast now. He knows he belongs. He knows he's one of the best guys in the league, and they keep adding and giving them more and more weapons. As you see, Jameson Crowder's coming. He's going to be unbelievable for them working out the slot. You got James Cook, as you said, that's the younger brother of Dalvin. He's a little bit more
Oh, that
versatile.
is? I didn't
Yeah,
know that. I didn't
yeah,
know
he was
that.
a beast
Okay.
at Georgia. He just didn't get a lot of carries because
Yeah, I
Georgia
know that
had
he did
talent.
really well at Georgia.
Unbelievable players. Like I say, he's so no nonsense. If you ever watch one of his kids' interviews, he just don't give a damn. He came to play football. He don't want to talk about nothing else. Like he doesn't get into all the trying to put on a face. None of that. He's just like his brother. Just it's all football. I don't want to talk. He's a real G. I know he's going to be out there talking a lot of smack to people and ready to bring hat because he has that type of attitude, just like his brother does. That he's very competitive. So I don't know how long it'll be. As long as he protects the ball, I don't. He can end up being the lead back for that team
I
uh,
think he will too
by
after a little
mid-season.
while.
You know,
Unless
by
Zach
mid.
Moss becomes the guy that we expected. And he showed
Nah,
flashes of that last year towards the end,
he
but
has
no.
he has nothing on Cook as far as an explosiveness, and another
Yeah.
thing that Cook brings to the game, he's
Catch out of the
truly every
backfield, right?
down back,
Yeah.
every down back if they want to use him. You can do more things with him in because he can really run wheel routes from and angle routes from the backfield, and like Kamara, be just as effective as in the run game catching the ball.
Hmm.
Like he's that type of dynamic player in the pass game too. So they really had a steal. Like the rich only get richer when they got him, and then they give my guy Vaughn. Shout out my boy Van Miller, his brother, man, Von Miller. Wherever he goes, he just wins. He's pretty much turning himself to a modern day Charles Haley, where he go places and get you over the hump and try to get you to the Super Bowl like a paid assassin. So see if he's able to do it this year like he did with the Rams last year.
Huge addition there. I think that we're feeling the same on New England. I think the books have the line right. 8.5. It's an
Under,
average team.
under.
Really? So you're on under. I think the line's right. I didn't bet it. And here's my idea here. You get to play the Jets. That's a couple wins. And Belichick's a good coach, so he can get any group of guys to play some pretty good defense there.
Mm-hmm.
So 8, 9 wins, those both seem right to me. But you're saying under. Why are you out on the Patriots this year?
Let's see. I want to go through their schedule. I just was looking at it. 1 second. I'm sorry. I'll pull it up real
It's all good. Yeah,
fast.
pull that up. Yeah, and interesting to see. I'll tell you what, if you were to ask me that same question, although see, I just give Belichick too much credit, but the big mistake or the big flaw that I see in this team, why is Matt Patricia your offensive coordinator? That
It
doesn't
makes
make
no earthly
any
sense
sense
out of
to me at
everyone
all.
that you could have picked. And all that is Belichick has earned the right now with his success in the past with him winning the most Super Bowls that he could do stuff like this. Most people can't get away with it. But what he's doing is what Nick Saban does. He's trying to give a coach another shot at the NFL by letting him come back to him and work from another position to rebuild his reputation. He Saban's done this over and over and over for guys in Alabama where you mess up your
Currently, he's trying
reputation,
to do it with Bill O'Brien, right?
trying to do it, and it'll work. He'll have another job. He'll in maybe college first, but he'll get another job if he's consistent. They can win a national championship, which they are favorite this year. Um, he's just giving him a shot because everyone knows Patricia for the defensive side. Now, if he can come have a good offense and actually pull it off, he's a high candidate again. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and it's really no
I just
use.
don't think so.
It's hurting
replace
Mac
Josh
Jones. That's who it's
McDaniels.
hurting. It's hurting Mac Jones. That's who exactly it's hurting by him doing that, because Mac Jones um, needs to have the consistency of a young head coach that's with him out there running around with him. Most of these guys now, they get these kids. Now, I don't know about their system. I'm hearing Belichick, or I think he hired another one of his sons or something to run around and be the young guy. I don't have that for sure documented or know that for sure. I just heard a little somebody on Sports Talk talking a little bit about him. But Patricia is not a person with a great, he's not a people person. You know what I mean? So I'm sure Mac Jones is feeling a real alienated, because you can't talk to Bill Belichick already. You know that. And now you look up, you got Patricia looking at you. You know, like, where does he turn to get support, to learn the game? What the hell can Patricia teach him about quarterbacking?
Yeah, no, it's just it don't make sense to me.
And
And
I
I think
heard
Josh
the coach.
McDaniels was real good. I mean, we're excited about him. As Las Vegas Raiders fans, to be running the offense, and the way that he was able to switch the game plan week in and week out. It felt like they had 4 different game plans they could install, and they
Yeah,
could be a different team week to week. And
we're going to get to them. I expect big things out the Raiders this year.
yeah,
But they also said Joe Judge is going to be calling some games too. So good luck with that. You got two
right.
doofuses out there, Patricia and Judge. Like, you know, Belichick is just to the point he's getting older, and, you know, people get older, get set in their ways,
Yeah,
and not
that's a
and are
problem.
not flexible. That's why Brady wanted out of there. You know, he's a current guy. He's going to be on the current music, the current trends, because that's what you have to do to stay young and to stay relevant. And unfortunately, Belichick's becoming one of those grumpy old guys in the NFL that's making some bad choices, and I think we're going to see the real fall of the Patriots begin this year. Uh, okay, let's go over the schedule.
All
Okay,
right.
September 11th, they're at the Dolphins. That's a loss. Miami will be wired up. It's going to be 200 degrees outside. You know, it's going to be so sweaty, so humid. I see Miami winning that. The next week, they're at the Steelers. Uh, it's a toss game. We don't know.
Under.
We don't know what the
Just
what
bet
the
under
difference
in that
is.
game. They can put
Yeah,
that. I can put that line at like 37 probably.
yeah, something like that. It's gonna be a muck job, but
Trubisky versus Mac Jones. You got to be kidding
yeah,
me.
you got to be kidding. So we're gonna give them that one. So we'll say 1-1.
I like the Steelers there.
I do too, but we'll just give it to them. We'll give
TJ
them that
Watt's
one.
gonna smack. Okay,
Yeah,
he
I
be
think so
smacking
too.
Mac.
I think so too. He's gonna cause so many turnovers coming around the edge on him.
Yeah,
But we'll just give them that. So they're 1-1 going into the third game, which would be the Ravens coming to town. We know the
lose.
Ravens tradition, recent history against the Patriots. They own them. Lamar Jackson has been wonderful against them. I think that the Ravens do beat them again, 2-1. Next week they go to Green Bay. That's an L. So that's 3-1. Okay, and
One
then
and three, you mean? Yeah,
they have the Lions come to New England, come to Foxborough, so they'll
they
win
can
that
win
one.
that.
Yeah, they'll win that one. So now we're at 2-4. Now they go to the Browns. That's a loss. It doesn't matter who the quarterback. I don't
Even
think
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett could beat him.
Okay.
He can beat him. They'll be able to run the
I mean,
ball.
Nick Chubb's gonna get 200 yards if they win, but
Exactly, in the
yeah,
defense. Right, exactly. So now we're 2-5. Okay. Now they got the Bears coming to town. They'll win that one, 3-5. They go to the Jets. Okay, they're 4-5. The Colts come to town.
Colts will probably win, but I don't know. That's not a.
Yeah.
It's not a
We'll
slam
give
dunk.
them that one. They're 5
All
and
right.
5. Okay. The Jets and the Patriots are next. They'll win that one. 6-5. Now they're on the winning side. They go to Minnesota next week after that at 6-5.
Probably losing Minnesota.
They definitely losing Minnesota, coming out beating the Jets. 6-6. Now they got the Bills, 6-7. Now they're at Arizona, 6-8. Now they're at the Raiders, 6-9. The Bengals come to town, 6-10. Dolphins come to town. They may win that one, so we'll give them that one. 7-9, excuse me, and then Patriots and Bills, 7-10. That's the
Yeah,
best,
the only
and
one
that was
I'd
who's
argue at
picking
the
them.
end is Arizona because Kyler probably won't be playing by week 14 or whatever.
You don't think so,
He's too small.
man?
Every week he looked like it. Every year so far, he looked like an MVP till like October, and then the hits just catch up to him.
But
And
it doesn't
I don't
seem like
like
he
them.
take a
I
lot of
don't
hits
like them
though.
coddling him NBA style either.
That it don't seem like he take a lot of hits though.
Yeah, but it's hard when you're that small.
But this the thing. Just briefly on that, you say they're calling them. I disagree with you on that. And the reason why it's a bad, they're doing a lot of bad press on Kyler. And the reason why I say this is because people sometimes get like unrealistic with their thought process on these things. This guy is one of the smallest quarterbacks, maybe the smallest quarterback in the history of
He
football.
is. Yeah, I mean, you have to go
Right.
back to like 1950 or
Right.
something when
At
people.
5'6", 170 pounds, soaking wet, he's been the best quarterback in the all-time history of high school football at Texas. He's won a Heisman Trophy, and he's changed the whole Arizona team until now. At least they're a factor. Before he got there, when Josh, whatever his name was there,
Josh Rosen. I
Josh
got Josh
Rosen, they were
Rosen. He was
horrible.
out.
They were
Where's
automatic L. Now
Where is
you
he
have to.
at now? Is he in Cleveland?
He's somewhere getting
He's a
the
fourth string wherever he's at. I think
he
he's in
getting
Cleveland.
he's getting the I know your father uh treatment. But anyway, so Kyler Murray has done all these things as the smallest quarterback to ever play football. You don't do all of those things just by being good. It's impossible. He's the best quarterback to ever play football in history of mankind. There's no way that you could just do these things. It'll be different if he was 6'5", ran a 4.1, you know, arm out, throwing it out the stadium. Then you're like, nah, this guy just like Cam Newton was at first. Like, oh, he's Superman. Kid is 5'4". He like shorter than my wife. You know what I'm saying? Out here like balling out, and everybody want to say like he's coddled. No, he's just like, dude, I'm little as hell. I bought your team and made your team effective now. Just pay me because I'm little as hell. Like what you're saying is true. I could get hip tossed and like break my hip and be out like
Yeah.
for the rest of my career because I'm that small. Then if somebody catches me lacking the right way, I'm hurt, you know? So I
We'll
understand
get
why
into
you want
this
to do
more. We'll get into this more in NFC West. I'll tell you
it.
what.
Okay.
If I'm a Niners fan, I'm loving the way they're running that organization down there because that's not how we run the
Oh, well,
NFL.
they're not going to win like that, of course. We
Yeah,
know that.
that's not how you work. You win in the NFL. You don't just give people extensions for nothing. That's some
But
NBA stuff when
hey,
they give
hey,
Ben
at
Simmons
the
a
end of the
bunch of
day,
money.
you can't win. Everyone can't win, and some people are realistic enough to know that. Like you
I
can't win.
guess
So
they'll be entertaining, right? But
exactly,
I just don't
exactly,
know if he's going to still be
exactly.
on the field by November. But okay, we'll table that. I understand why you're going under there. I think that was a good breakdown. Let's talk about the team that I think I got surprised, right? So I mean, even on the Patriots, we're pretty close. I said 8 to 9. You had them at 7. Okay, they're going to be decent, right? This Miami team, I have no idea what to make of this team. They could be really good, or this could be a disaster. Okay, so we look at Tua. He's not shown it there, but I thought he was such a good prospect coming out of Alabama. So it wouldn't surprise me if he turned it around. Does he have the right coach? We know that Brian Flores was a defense, old school type of guy. Now he's got this young cat in there, and I think this cat's going to draw him up some great plays. My question is he going to be the guy that's going to run the room when a middle linebacker shows up late for practice? You know, when people are kind of mouthing off, when they lose a couple games in a row, is he going to be able to keep this locker room? That's my concern. We saw this on Hard Knocks with Joe Philbin, great play designer, just didn't have the personality to be a head coach. Um, Tyreek Hill, that could be, if this team starts losing and he's not getting targets, this is going to be a really tough team to manage. That's why I have my doubts about this team. But I mean, if you're picking a team for to play John Madden football with, right? I mean, they got all the guys. They should be able to be good. The other thing I wonder is, will the defense fall off with Flores gone? I think the defensive talent is above average. But I thought that his schemes and the way he had those guys competing had a lot to do with it. What do you make of the Miami Dolphins? Because I'll tell you what, this is one I have the least strong take on.
7, 8 wins. They'll be better than New England and the Jets. They'll be the only one that they can't even threaten the Bills, though. Believe me, they
Yeah,
can't.
I don't think so either. But I mean, can they be
But
the second
they'll
playoff
be
team?
threatening for a final wild card.
Okay.
I can see that as long as they can keep Tua upright. The
Will
problem
Tua
Tua
play good
has,
enough to be back next year, or are we going to be out on him? Because if he can't get it done with this squad, can't we just? Is it safe to say the kid's not getting it done?
that's why they gave him all of this. This is their
I think
chess
it's smart.
check. because
Yeah.
they're you see their owners getting in trouble right now. But I'm not even mad at him. He wanted Flores to stay the coach. He just told him, "Hey man, we gotta we gotta do whatever we gotta do to get Joe Burrow." And if you imagine that Miami team with Joe Burrow, they had like
Yeah.
last year with Joe
Hmm.
Burrow, they would have been
Hmm.
Cincinnati instead of Cincinnati being Cincinnati.
Exactly.
So he's that big of a difference maker. From the moxie he brings, the leadership and the on field play. Um, so I understand why he did it. But I understand also how slick Bill Belichick is with the chess play to send the text so that all of this could kick off and he can.
Unbelievable, right? Just when we think that
He's
things
a
are passing
beast.
him by, he's still pulling them Palpatine moves.
Oh, he isn't a Rhodes Scholar for anything. That
Yeah.
man is one of the smartest people on earth, man. He reads a lot of books, and I'm sure that was one of his old chess books that he used right
Yeah.
there to figure out that move because he definitely
Bill's
set out
reading
for
Machiavelli in the offseason.
yeah, some
Yeah.
Machiavellian stuff to pull that one off because he definitely knocked out Brady, Miami, and all of his plans because Brady didn't want to go to Tampa Bay. He wanted to be in Miami, and
Yeah.
that really fit his wife's lifestyle and everything. So, and he would have got a chance to beat up on Bill Belichick a couple times a year and embarrass him. But anyway, Miami, instead they gave the keys to Tua now because of what everything that happened, and that's the reason they loaded up on all these stars. Because now, if he can't do it now, then what? They even the stars they're not speaking about is former right tackle for the Saints, Teron Armstead.
Hmm.
Uh, Teron Armstead is a huge pickup. I'm sure they're going to have him playing on since he's left-handed, playing his blind side and playing right tackle,
Yeah.
protecting him, and they have to keep him clean, which I haven't seen. The problem that I have with Tua, he has not been able to work from the pocket. I feel like Kyler Murray, he had to drop back like 20 yards to get a clear pocket, and he still is better from the pocket than I feel like Tua. For some reason, Tua wants to climb the pocket and sit in the pocket like he's 6'5". He can't find angles good for some
Well,
reason.
I wonder if how much of that is that hip injury, man. You watch those highlights at Alabama. He didn't have no problems throwing no deep ball then. It was
Well, it's
one of the
not the
best things
deep
I've
ball I'm
seen.
worried about. He can throw. My problem is getting the passes off. He has always. It seems like he always has a muddy pocket, and a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
times it seems like it's him not being able to find the right alleys or stepping into the right spots, moving in the pocket correctly to help out his offensive lineman. Like every time I see him drop back, I'm worried that he's about to get hurt or it's going to be a turnover. Like he doesn't give me any confidence athletically. You know what I mean? Like most of these quarterbacks that are good when they leave, like Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, when they came from college to playing pro ball, the first couple years they looked small. Then the next year they kind of were bigger. Next thing you know, you were like, oh shit, they fit. Like they look no different than they were in college. Actually, they look meaner and badder and faster.
Hmm.
They fit with these guys. He never has looked as well as he looked in college
No,
as
not at
he
all.
does. Never. His game has never transferred from
I
college
guess
to the
I'm
pros.
just I just chalk that up to the injury. I think those hips are tough, man.
Oh yeah, you break your hip. He had because I remember the first time I saw him as a freshman against Georgia. I was like, this is a left-handed Russell Wilson. They couldn't
Yeah.
catch him. He
They're
was
so
so
tight.
fast,
Yeah.
man. He was fast
Yeah.
back then. And as you said, he's never got that acceleration back since that. And it was such a
And you
crazy
even
thing
use it
because
when you're throwing. I mean, it just like just like throwing a punch, just like swinging a tennis racket. You generate your power with your hips, not your arm. We talk about having a strong arm, but you
mhm.
generate it through your throwing motion and through your lower body. So I
Well, this is
wonder how
his
much he's
what is this?
lost.
Is this his third or fourth year off of that injury? I want to say
This is
fourth.
his third year as a quarterback, so it'd be the
So fourth.
fourth year because he injured himself his senior year, right?
Yeah, and it was such a sad situation because they were up like 30, like always,
Yeah.
when he got hurt. He didn't even need to be in the game. It was
Yeah.
sad, man. But anyway, we'll never know. But as you said, maybe it is that hip. But whatever it is, his athletic ability does not translate. It isn't anything about him superior enough to make me like him at quarterback. When I see Justin Herbert, I'm like, wow, this guy's big. Look at
Yeah.
that arm. When I see Burrow, I'm like, oh man, this kid's cocky. Look at him sliding that pocket like Tom Brady when he was young. Look at those feet. You know how good Burrow's feet are in the pocket. He's just floating around looking for the spot and he's hitting everybody. And you never feel like he doesn't belong. I never felt, and I don't like little quarterbacks because of that. Kyler is the only one that I've seen, but he doesn't have, like you were saying, he's going to fall off because he's too buddy with the coach. The
Yeah.
coach is too into Kyler. He's been into him since he couldn't catch him in high school and recruit him to play for him. He's been, you know, on him since then. He's a smart guy, but you can't be friends like that with the coach. That's why I'm really impressed by Sean McVay and what he did. He really cut Jared Goff's throat. It was some cold-hearted black, but it was what necessary, And that he had to cut that relationship because they were tight like that, where they were buddy and best of buds and hey man, type of guys. And he went and got a new quarterback to get the job done. Miami might have to do the same thing, man. I'd love to see Tua succeed because he's one of the best people that you're gonna see in the NFL. No trouble, raised right, great father, great family, great representative of Hawaii. But it's about who can play, and we'll see can he play this year. You got Tyreek Hill going deep. You got Cedric Wilson going underneath and can go deep. Uh, they got the tight end who's outstanding. Uh, like I said, they added Armstead. Then on defense, you got Melvin Ingram. Melvin Ingram came over there, and Jalen Phillips is a future star at the other DN, a kid from Miami that plays there. So it's all on tour, man. It's all on tour this
All
year.
right. Let's talk about the Jets. I didn't think we agree. Not a very good team. Bad news today. Mekhi Becton out for the year. The only thing you can say for the Jets, they had a good draft. I don't know if it translates this year, but you're higher on Zach Wilson than me. So what do you think about this team?
I like Zach Wilson. He's not going to be good anytime soon. He has another couple years, but when he gets it going, he's going to be one of those guys that you said, "Oh, I forgot this kid could play." Because he's one of those guys who I do see his athletic ability translating. When I see him play, it's some plays he makes on the field where you're like, "Oh, this kid can play. He can let it rip." Uh, like I said, a natural athlete really moves well on the field. Just the Jets are the Jets. It's a perpetual rebuild. Um, not much you could say about them except for that they're young. Their coach is young.
Do you like the coach?
I don't know yet.
I don't know either because the dudes he had in San Francisco, I might be able to coach those guys, right? If your front four wins their assignments every single time, you can run any coverage you want.
Right.
Because you have 7 people back every time. Because you're winning those battles up front.
He's
dealing
with the shorthand over here. Like the Jets have
I know.
always.
So it's tough because he's overpowered in San Francisco, where any coach could get it done. And now Belichick couldn't even make these Jets good.
No,
so
Belichick would lose just as many games with them.
Yeah, so I don't know what to do with this team. I'm going to be betting against them often until I don't know how fast it'll be week 4, week 5 when they start catching double digits.
Yeah.
Early in the year they're afraid to go past 7 the first couple weeks, so we might be able to fade them there. But overall, really, I'm not high on this team, and it's just so
I only
crazy.
saw 2 to 3 wins on their schedule.
Yeah. And the only hard part about doing this, right, is like, Minnesota, let's say they lose the quarterback or they lose Justin Jefferson, right? They're not as good. Baltimore loses Lamar, right? That now that's a winnable game, right?
They get the NFC North. Yeah, get the NFC North, so you think that they would get a couple victories, but
yeah, I can't wait till we talk about the Bears. That's another team that I'm out on where I'm just like, and I feel the same way. I feel like they have a nice young quarterback that's in a terrible situation.
We gotta give their coach a chance. We don't know what he's gonna bring you.
Who they get? They get Eberflus from Green Bay, right? And so
the Titans, right? I thought it was Tennessee.
Was it Titans? I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's Titans. Yeah, offensive coordinator Titans.
Wait. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I had it wrong. I thought it was a defensive guy. Now that would make more sense after having a defensive guy, they bring an offensive guy in. All right, so that wraps it up. So it seems like you like your orders, you like the Jets. I mean the Bills, then the Dolphins ahead of the Patriots this year. You got the Patriots dropping to 3rd.
No, definitely.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, there we go. There's that strong take that I was afraid to make because, like I said, I don't know what to make of this Dolphins team. Anything else on the AFC East before we wrap this up?
I just think the Dolphins start hot this year. No one's aware of what McDaniels is going to be running. He's a creative mind. You know, he has to be creative from coming from under another maniac when it
Yeah.
comes to, preparation and offense and Shanahan giving him the keys to the offense. So I'm expecting some things out of him because it's not like he doesn't have the talent. I mean, they got unbelievable talent over there. They got Chase Edmonds in the backfield. Now they got Sony Michel. They're loaded on offense. That's not going to be their problem. And the defense has already had a culture of being decent. I think they win a lot of their games early, getting people out there in Miami early in the year when it's still warm. And as the year goes, they kind of die down because they actually really have a Miami style team. Where before they had never had a team that really it didn't matter. It was like more of a actually the teams that were there with the former coach were more um, prepped for like cold weather games. They play more cold weather style with running the ball, not a lot of deep passing, ball control, and leaning on the defense. Now they really have a Florida team, a sunny weather team with a lot of speed. Um, another year healthy for Jalen Waddle. I expect a lot of big things from him. He's an awesome receiver. I followed him since he was in Houston playing high school football. He's a real playmaker. And Tyreek Hill is going to take so much pressure off him. I think Jalen Waddle has a huge year because him and Tua already had a bond growing and a connection growing. So I do like Miami. I like I said, I expect big things out there, coach on the offensive side. I like him. He's a little quirky. I think that quirkiness works for a little while. It catches the men, attention in the locker room. Completely different than what they've been dealing with, where everything was like on pins and needles. You know how it is. They go from one extreme to the next
Yeah.
most times in these positions. So I think at least for this year, the team will respond well to having a different, side of the coin.
All right. Well, I think that's about it for us on the AFC East.
Yes, sir, man. Well, we had a great job previewing. You got anything for these guys, man? You got any picks you see? Or you want to hold off till Friday?
Yeah, I'll hold off till Friday.
We'll hold off till Friday. So you guys have to tune back in Friday to catch the ball and parlay. We'll have some action for you. We've been cooking on the Canadian football, right, spread? So
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, we'll probably be on some Canadian football for you guys on Friday, and maybe a preseason game if we find the right advantage. I know for sure I'll be looking for Baltimore. They have an outstanding record in preseason openers,
Mhm.
so we'll be looking for that lean. And remember, guys, preseason is something that we bet a lot on, but we do bet it because in every wager, we're always looking for an advantage, and if you can find an advantage, it's worth making a bet. Anything for the people before we get out of the spread?
No, man, just glad to be back with you talking football.
Man, we're back talking our thing. We're talking football. I went 13-0 against the spread last year in the NFL playoffs. We're just had an unbelievable run. So we set the standards real high, and we expect to keep them going that way over here. When you tune in to the wagering world, you're tuning in to get winners, and that's what we're going to give you great information that you can use and utilize for your betting purposes, and also to give you free winners so you can go cash that ticket. Follow my guy Spread Astaire at Spread Astaire on Twitter, and also subscribe to his YouTube channel Spread Astaire. Follow me on Twitter at 5 Star in Vegas, spell out the 5, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel 5 Star in Vegas Sports Investments. Best of luck to y'all. We'll see you on Friday.